Come now, Alice. It's only a dream.
It's not a dream, it's a memory. And it makes me sick.
Now, focus. Wait. You're floating again. Weightless. A cipher. Relax.
I'm in hell.
Forget it. Abandon that memory. It's unproductive. Go to Wonderland.
I can't. I'm trapped in my past.
Sergeant, this girl's badly hurt. Call for a doctor.
She'll be alright.
Alice Madness Returns is a psychological horror hack-and-slash game about an alternate take on Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland. Atmosphere. The game has the same beautiful surrealism to it that brings its source material to life. It has some truly sublime moments, but everything is tainted over time. It twists that innocent, dreamlike wonder into more sinister landscapes and themes that go far beyond the intent of the book's audience. Something is very wrong in Wonderland. Key themes to the game are insanity, violation and decay, and they're presented in different ways, from the music and its unsettling and eerie melodies that give way to abstract dissonance, to the game's environments that become more nightmare and less dreamlike as the game progresses. People are contorted into caricatures and seem full of spite and avarice. It's a truly oversaturated version of Victorian London, with bleak browns and greys to suit its palette. It feels as though everyone has it in for you as your world falls apart to reveal your escape, which is Wonderland. There's a touch of darkness to everything you experience. The game's undertones always seem to be implying that you're hiding something from yourself and something is wrong. The later stages of her journey seem more twisted and creepy, and even though the game still pushes you through platforming sections, you can't shake the feeling that something awful is going on, and Alice is suppressing something disturbing right up until the end of the game. Queensland is as traditionally creepy as the game gets, with a distorted, decaying castle being the environment for the game's brief chase sequences. Really, it's not your typical horror atmosphere. It's strange and surreal, but never really gets too dark. But this is psychological horror, creeping away in the background. That's one Harry Mason. Scares. There's no scripted events or jump scares. There's a few mild chase sequences with the card executioner, and that's as close to scary as it gets. There are disturbing moments of realization when it comes to the story, and that's all Alice Madness Returns seems to be setting out to do. Whilst the game contains no scares and it's pretty obvious there was no intention to add any, from the way the story is told to the gameplay, it would not make sense for it to contain any frightening moments either. This is a psychological horror game, and scares aren't the focus of it. It's hard to fail a game on something it's not setting out to achieve, so despite the fact there are no scares, I'm giving it the point. That's 2 Harry Masons.
All of Wonderland.
Seeking refuge from the wicked world, perhaps things only look like they've gone to hell.
You're not that good a liar, and I'm not that stupid. But something a bit less calamitous would have been welcome.
This unmitigated disaster is your doing, and it will get worse. Your train keeps a hellish schedule. Get moving. Time waits for no one. The change has begun.
Sound design. There's a magical reverb to the chimes and dreamy bells that make up the early tracks before things start to get darker and more abstract. The soundtrack really adds a monotonous drone to some parts of the game, especially Hatter's Realm, where its bleak mechanical environments are all captured here in sound. There's some truly sublime and subdued pieces that play over the brighter moments in the game, and some of the later tracks are repetitive and seem somewhat unhinged, with music box melodies that seem to trail on for ages but never go anywhere as the two-tone rhythm chugs up and down. They're eerie and creepy, and the delay and reverb makes them feel like they're bouncing around in your head. The sound effects of the combat are really detailed, with a vorpal blade sounding sickeningly sharp as it slices through foes. Other things like the deep earth-moving groan of the executioner are just really eerie. I love the sound of gathering teeth and the rabbit time bomb too. The voice acting is pretty damn great, with a wide cast of real and surreal characters having unique voices that match their eccentric personalities. There's a few brief moments where the music is too loud for the voices, but it's a very small number of moments in quite a long game. There's directional audio, and it's nicely done with all the camera turning you have to do to keep up with the combat. The sound design is really nice, and apart from 1 or 2 hiccups, never disappoints. That's 3 Harry Masons.
What's happening? Are you mad?
I'm not mad.
Rabbit,
That's not right. What's he doing?
is something wrong?
Something wrong?
No, not that!
Don't struggle, Alice. Let the new Wonderland emerge.
Pollution. Corruption. It's killing me. Wonderland is destroyed. My mind is in ruins.
Forget it, Alice. Block that dream. Wake at the sound.
Gore. The game's blood and gore is somewhat surprising. There's a few instances of gore in the cutscene with Alice peeling off her own skin at the very start, which is kind of disturbing, but as you enter the gameplay, there's something unsettling about these cartoonish characters spurting blood as you attack them with what is essentially a kitchen knife. There's a scene in the game where it's implied Alice had holes drilled in her head, and seeing bloody screws coming through the ceiling in one of the rooms in the psychiatric ward is just disturbing. There's dismembered children covered in blood, but it's kind of disarmed by their caricature design. It's never excessive, but it feels out of place in sometimes the best way. That's 4 Harry Masons. Story. The story is told in incredibly small chunks throughout the game. Alice is a psychiatric patient under the care of Dr. Bumby, and he urges her to forget the traumatic occurrences the night the family died in a fire. She escapes into Wonderland to find it's tainted, and this train is the cause of the trouble. As she progresses throughout the game, she finds the altered characters of the original book to help her regain the memories she's been forced to suppress. The real horror of the game comes near the end, where it's all revealed what befell Alice as she remembers everything that's happened. It's shocking and unpleasant, and the more you think about the events of the game, the more it all ties together. There's so much imagery that alludes to it that grows stronger the closer you get to the truth. There are a lot of little voice clips of recovered memories you can pick up throughout the game, but some of these, especially near the start, don't seem to add much to the story, and the later ones are harder to find. The story is really the reason to play this game, besides the beauty and atmosphere of it all. Making the final score 5 out of 5 Harry Masons. Alice Madness Returns is a great psychological horror game. It's not scary, but there's a lot more to it than that. And whilst its platforming sections could be considered maddening on their own, it's got a great story to tell. Again, I'd like to remind you this whole thing is down to my opinion in horror games. If you don't share this opinion, then that's cool, I get it. I'd like to point out that whilst I felt bad for Alice, I did not scream like a banshee or run away from the computer, and I advise you don't either. There'll be more horror reviews in the pipeline, and thanks for watching. And always go check out Bumps in the middle of the night. Peace.